Hey there, extraordinary treasurers. In a previous video, we noted that there are three different sections on the Jewel Financial Summary: bank accounts, local funds, and conference funds. And that the local and conference funds combined always equal the amount that is in the bank accounts. And we learned that no matter how much we have in our bank accounts at any one time, the amount that is available for local church use is found in the middle section of the Jewel Financial Summary. In this middle section, the local funds are where we keep track on paper of the real, actual money that is in the bank accounts. Let's zoom in on that middle section of the financial summary. There's a basic list of local funds that comes preset in Jewel. Includes things like evangelism and Sabbath school expense, but as time goes on, each church board customizes their list to meet their needs. Some churches have building funds. Some have already purchased or built their facility, so instead they may have a mortgage fund and a facility repair and maintenance fund. Some churches have worthy student, some don't. Local fund lists grow and change over the years. Having all these local funds serves two very important purposes. One, local funds such as insurance and utilities help track what we have spent and budget for what we will need to spend. Number two, other local funds keep track of donations to various projects and ministries so they can be used for those projects and ministries and not accidentally spent for something else. More about that in the next video. One of the most important and useful local funds is church budget. That is why we put it at the top of the local fund section of the report. Since there are local funds that don't typically receive donations, like utilities and cleaning supplies, church budget donations, which are not limited to any one purpose and can be used wherever needed, pay these boring but very important bills. Some churches choose to use a very simple system where most donations go into church budget and all expenses come out of church budget. It's okay to do it that way if you're small or just starting out. However, if you do it that way and someone on your board asks, "Where is all our money going?" it would take you some time and research to sort it all out. So that method gives you simplicity, but at the expense of clarity. Sometimes detail can enhance clarity. If all of your bills are lumped together in one expense account, you have no way to know how much your church is spending on utilities each year, or if you have enough saved ahead to pay your insurance bill, which can spell disaster if your church is struggling to make ends meet. So for this next section, we're going to assume that this church is aiming for clarity by using a small number of various local funds for various expenses. For purposes of illustration, let's think of the local funds on this report as buckets. When I pay a bill to the Adventist Book Center for Sabbath school supplies, for example, I take money out of the Sabbath school expenses bucket. Where does the money come from to pay that bill? From donations to Sabbath school expense. Do we really use buckets? No. Just illustrations to help us understand how it works. So for the next few minutes, let's keep using buckets to represent local church funds. One of the IRS rules that must be followed if a donation is going to be tax deductible to the donor is this: only the church board may create the buckets. The donor must choose an already existing bucket for their donation. In other words, the donor may choose an existing bucket but not create a new one. So here we have Cheerful Giver, who has put an offering in the envelope, choosing to donate to church budget, evangelism, and Sabbath school expense, existing buckets, as it were. That money is now available to pay for Sabbath school quarterlies or for evangelism, and the church budget donation can be used anywhere it's needed. So what happens if someone donates to a bucket that your church does not already have? Now I want to clarify here, we're talking about local funds because there are hundreds of official world and conference funds that you don't have in your Jewel account list. that if someone donated to them, they'd need to be added. This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about local church funds. So let's illustrate. Let's say that donor Jill Juneberry loves the color pink. Week after week, as Jill attends church, she imagines how much nicer the sanctuary would look if it had pink carpet and pink upholstery. So one week she writes on her tithe envelope, "Pink carpet and upholstery fund," and drops it in the offering basket. Well, you, as treasurer, look at that envelope, knowing that you don't have a pink carpet and upholstery bucket. So you go to Edit Accounts, create a pink carpet and upholstery fund, and post her $600 donation to it. Wait, remember, the donor is not allowed to create new buckets, and you as treasurer are not authorized to add a new local fund in Jewel simply because a donor writes it on their envelope. You should only add a new local fund to Jewel if the church board has voted to do so, and this vote is clearly recorded in the church minutes. So now what do you do with Ms. Juneberry's donation? Well, you could post it to something else like church budget, or knowing that the office supplies fund is low, post it there. That would keep office supplies full for a year. Nope, that's not an option either. This is what you should do. Pull the envelope out of the stack of envelopes. Don't deposit the money. Contact the donor. Explain that the church does not have this fund. Ask if they want to choose another fund that the church does have, or do they want you to return their money to them? And then, if they select a different fund, write it on their tithe envelope, along with the time and the day that you spoke with them. Or maybe you have an assistant who creates the deposit and you don't find out about this until the check has already been sent to the bank. Once you do find out about it, you can still contact the donor and ask them what they want you to do with their donation. There's another reason we don't accept donations unless there's already a bucket to receive them. Let's say you accept that donation and you create a fund for it. But then you can't use it for anything but pink carpet and pink upholstery. And what are the chances that your board is going to vote to cover your sanctuary in pink? So it becomes what we call trapped money, which is money that you aren't going to use it for its donated purpose, but you can't use it for anything else. So why can't we use it for anything else? Great question. And that is the topic for the next video.